Have you ever wondered what happens when humanity faces not just extinction, but the complete annihilation of the universe itself? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mind-bending science fiction masterpieces ever written. This isn't just another space opera or alien invasion story. This is Death's End by Liu Cixin, the explosive finale to the three-body trilogy that will fundamentally change how you think about civilization, survival, and the ultimate fate of everything that exists. What we were about to explore together goes far beyond typical science fiction. We're talking about a book that tackles the most profound questions imaginable. What would you do if saving humanity meant potentially destroying the entire universe? How do you make decisions when the stakes are literally infinite? And here's the kicker that'll blow your mind. This story shows us that sometimes the greatest act of love is also the most destructive force imaginable. I've spent years analysing thousands of books as a professional editor, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that Death's End stands in a category all by itself. This isn't just entertainment, it's a philosophical earthquake disguised as a science fiction novel. By the end of this summary, you'll understand why this book has readers staying up all night, why it's sparked debates among physicists, and why it might just change your entire perspective on what it means to be human in an infinite cosmos. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through space, time, and the darkest corners of cosmic horror that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about existence itself. Death's End represents the culmination of Liu Cixin's extraordinary three-body trilogy, a work that has redefined the boundaries of hard science fiction. Published originally in Chinese in 2010 and translated into English by Ken Liu in 2016, this novel serves as both a thrilling conclusion to an epic saga and a standalone meditation on the ultimate questions facing any advanced civilization. Liu Cixin, often considered China's premier science fiction author, brings his background as a computer engineer and his deep understanding of physics to create a narrative that operates on scales both intimate and cosmic. Unlike many Western science fiction works that focus primarily on individual heroism or technological wonder, Death's End examines civilization itself as a character, exploring how entire species must adapt, evolve, or perish when faced with existential threats. The novel picks up the threads from the previous two books, The Three-Body Problem and The Dark Forest, but amplifies everything to an almost incomprehensible degree. Where the earlier books dealt with first contact and interstellar warfare, Death's End confronts readers with universe-ending scenarios that make previous conflicts seem almost quaint by comparison. What sets this work apart from typical science fiction is its unflinching commitment to following scientific and logical premises to their absolute conclusions, regardless of how disturbing or beautiful those conclusions might be. Liu Cixin doesn't shy away from depicting scenarios where traditional human values become not just irrelevant, but actively dangerous to survival. The book operates simultaneously as hard science fiction, philosophical treatise, and emotional drama, weaving together concepts from theoretical physics, game theory, and evolutionary biology into a narrative that somehow remains deeply human even when dealing with cosmic scale events. This is literature that respects its reader's intelligence while delivering the kind of sense of wonder moments that define the very best science fiction. Death's End follows multiple interconnected storylines across vast spans of time, but centres primarily on Cixin, an aerospace engineer who becomes one of the most important figures in human history through a series of decisions that ripple across centuries. The novel begins in the early 21st century and spans millions of years, chronicling humanity's struggle for survival in a universe revealed to be far more dangerous than anyone imagined. The story picks up the Dark Forest theory established in the previous novel, the idea that the universe is filled with predatory civilizations that destroy any others they detect to ensure their own survival. Earth exists in a precarious détente, with the Trisolaran civilization maintained through a delicate balance of mutually assured destruction. However, this fragile peace cannot last forever. Cixin finds herself thrust into positions of enormous responsibility, first as a participant in humanity's early attempts at interstellar travel, then as a key decision maker during crucial moments of species-level crisis. Her choices, driven by compassion and human values, consistently lead to unintended consequences that threaten not just humanity, but potentially all life in the universe. The narrative expands beyond Earth to encompass multiple star systems, dimensions beyond our own, and time frames that stretch from the present day to the heat death of the universe. As the story progresses, the scope becomes increasingly vast, with civilizations rising and falling, stars being extinguished as weapons, and entire dimensions being manipulated as tools of war. Central to the plot is humanity's gradual realization that survival in this cosmos requires abandoning many cherished human values. The novel explores whether it's possible to remain human while doing whatever is necessary to survive, and whether survival itself is worth the cost of losing one's humanity in the process. The Staircase project represents one of the novel's early pivotal moments, showcasing humanity's first serious attempt at interstellar travel. Cixin becomes involved in this ambitious plan to send a human brain to the Trisolaran system using light sail technology. The project requires sending only a brain rather than a complete human, preserved in a way that could theoretically be reconstructed by advanced alien technology. This mission establishes the novel's willingness to explore the boundaries between life and death, individual identity, and species survival. The psychological and ethical implications of selecting someone for this one-way journey into the unknown set the stage for the impossible decisions that follow throughout the narrative. The Swordholder program introduces one of science fiction's most fascinating concepts in societal deterrence. Earth maintains peace with Trisolaris through the threat of broadcasting the location of both civilizations to the hostile universe, ensuring mutual destruction. The person controlling this deterrent becomes the most powerful individual in human history, holding the fate of both species in their hands. When Cixin inherits this responsibility, her compassionate nature prevents her from maintaining the credible threat necessary for deterrence. This failure of deterrence leads directly to Trisolaran invasion and human subjugation, demonstrating how traditional virtues can become fatal weaknesses when dealing with existential threats. The Australia Reservation reveals the brutal reality of humanity's defeat and subjugation by Trisolaran forces. Humans are confined to a single continent, living under alien oversight while the Trisolarans prepare Earth for their own colonization. This section explores themes of resistance, collaboration, and survival under occupation. The psychological impact on humanity of being reduced from planetary rulers to a managed population creates profound questions about dignity, freedom, and what makes life worth living. The conditions in the reservation serve as a stark reminder that survival without freedom may not constitute meaningful existence. Bunker Earth represents humanity's desperate attempt to survive the coming dark forest strike against the solar system. Massive underground cities are constructed to protect human civilization from attacks that could destroy planets. However, these preparations prove utterly inadequate when the actual attack comes in the form of a two-dimensional foil that collapses the entire solar system from 3 dimensions to 2. This event demonstrates the terrifying scale of cosmic warfare and the impossibility of defending against truly advanced civilizations. The collapse of 3-dimensional space into 2 dimensions represents one of the most scientifically grounded, yet horrifying scenarios in science fiction literature. The Bunker Project's failure forces the few surviving humans to flee the solar system entirely, leading to the establishment of human colonies in distant star systems. These refugee populations must adapt to life in harsh environments while maintaining their humanity and culture across vast distances. The scattered nature of human civilization creates new challenges in communication, governance, and cultural preservation. Some colonies thrive and develop new technologies, while others struggle with isolation and resource limitations. This diaspora phase explores how human civilization might adapt and evolve when faced with permanent exile from Earth. Wade's research program introduces revolutionary propulsion technology that could give humanity a fighting chance in the cosmic arena. However, developing this technology requires conducting horrific experiments and abandoning moral constraints that have traditionally defined human civilization. Wade represents the ruthless pragmatism necessary for species survival, while opposition to his methods reflects humanity's reluctance to abandon its moral foundations. The conflict between survival necessity and ethical behaviour reaches its climax in this storyline, forcing readers to confront whether any action can be justified by the goal of species preservation. The Singer and the dual-vector foil introduce readers to cosmic-level civilizations that view the destruction of entire star systems as routine housekeeping. These entities operate on scales so vast that individual planets and species are barely worth noting. When they detect signs of intelligent life, their response is swift and total annihilation, using weapons that manipulate the fundamental structure of space-time itself. The casual nature of this destruction, compared to the cosmic maintenance work, provides a chilling perspective on humanity's place in the universe and the true scale of the threats facing any emerging civilization. The universe reset scenario presents the ultimate cosmic horror and hope simultaneously. As the universe contracts toward its end, advanced civilizations must choose between preserving themselves in lower dimensional space or contributing mass and energy to restart the cosmic cycle. This decision affects not just individual species, but the possibility of any future existence whatsoever. The moral weight of this choice, where self-preservation potentially dooms all future life, while self-sacrifice might enable new universes to flourish, represents the novel's ultimate exploration of sacrifice, responsibility, and the meaning of existence on the largest possible scale. The Dark Forest theory fundamentally reframes how we understand the search for extraterrestrial intelligence and cosmic survival. Rather than viewing the universe as a place where civilizations naturally cooperate and share knowledge, this concept suggests that any advanced civilization must remain hidden or face destruction by competitors. This principle operates like a cosmic prisoner's dilemma, where the safest strategy is always to eliminate potential threats before they can eliminate you. The implications extend beyond science fiction to real-world discussions about whether humanity should actively broadcast its presence to the cosmos or maintain a low profile until we develop adequate defences. Understanding this theory changes how we interpret the famous Fermi paradox and why we may not have encountered other intelligent life despite the universe's vastness. Moral flexibility becomes essential for species survival in extreme circumstances, challenging our fundamental assumptions about ethics and values. Traditional human virtues like compassion, forgiveness, and respect for individual rights may become fatal weaknesses when facing existential threats that operate by completely different rules. The novel demonstrates that survival sometimes requires making decisions that violate every moral principle we hold dear, yet failing to make those decisions results in total annihilation. This creates a profound paradox where preserving humanity's physical existence may require abandoning humanity's spiritual and moral essence. The challenge becomes finding ways to maintain core human values while adapting to cosmic realities that make those values seem naive or dangerous. Technological transcendence reveals both the promise and peril of advancing beyond current limitations. As civilizations develop capabilities approaching godlike power, they face increasingly complex moral and practical challenges. The ability to manipulate space-time, travel faster than light, or survive the heat, death of the universe comes with responsibilities and dangers that test the wisdom and character of any species. Advanced technology doesn't eliminate difficult choices, but makes them more consequential, with single decisions potentially affecting the fate of entire universes. This suggests that technological development must be accompanied by equivalent growth in wisdom and ethical understanding, or the results become catastrophic on unimaginable scales. Communication across vast distances and timescales becomes crucial for maintaining civilization and passing knowledge to future generations. When human communities are scattered across multiple star systems, traditional methods of governance, culture transmission, and coordinated action break down completely. The novel explores how messages sent across decades or centuries of travel time create unique challenges for decision-making and social cohesion. Information becomes both more precious and more fragile when it must survive interstellar distances and cosmic catastrophes. This highlights the importance of robust communication systems and cultural preservation methods that can function across scales far beyond current human experience. Scientific thinking provides both hope and horror when applied to ultimate questions about existence and survival. The novel's commitment to following scientific principles to their logical conclusions creates scenarios that are simultaneously fascinating and terrifying. Understanding the true nature of physics and cosmology reveals possibilities for transcendence and survival that seem miraculous, but also exposes threats and limitations that make current problems seem trivial. Scientific literacy becomes essential for navigating a universe where advanced civilizations routinely manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. This suggests that education and scientific understanding are not just useful tools, but essential requirements for any species hoping to survive cosmic-scale challenges. Individual agency operates within cosmic constraints that can make personal choices seem both infinitely important and completely meaningless. Characters like Cixin find themselves making decisions that affect the fate of entire species, yet they operate within systems so vast and complex that predicting consequences becomes nearly impossible. The weight of responsibility scales with the magnitude of potential outcomes, creating psychological pressures that few individuals can handle effectively. This tension between personal agency and cosmic determinism reflects real-world challenges about responsibility, leadership, and decision-making under extreme uncertainty. Understanding these dynamics becomes crucial for anyone facing high-stakes decisions with far-reaching consequences. sacrifice and preservation present impossible choices when the stakes involve not just individual lives, but the continuation of consciousness itself in the universe. The novel's final scenarios force readers to contemplate whether any individual or civilization has the right to prioritise their own survival over the possibility of future existence for others. These decisions involve timeframes and consequences so vast that traditional moral frameworks provide little guidance. The mathematics of survival sometimes demand actions that seem monstrous from any individual perspective, but may be necessary from a cosmic perspective. This creates new categories of ethical thinking that must account for scales of space and time far beyond normal human comprehension. Death's End stands as perhaps the most ambitious and successful hard science fiction novel ever written, a work that pushes the boundaries of imagination while remaining grounded in scientific plausibility. Liu Cixin has created something rare in literature, a story that operates simultaneously as thrilling entertainment, rigorous thought experiment, and profound philosophical meditation on the ultimate questions facing any intelligent species in the universe. The novel's greatest achievement lies in its unflinching examination of what survival might actually require when faced with threats that operate on cosmic scales. By following logical premises to their absolute conclusions, Liu Cixin forces readers to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of existence, morality, and the prices that might need to be paid for continuation of consciousness in an indifferent universe. What makes Death's End truly remarkable is how it maintains emotional resonance and human connection even while dealing with scenarios that dwarf individual concerns. The characters remain recognisably human even when making decisions that affect entire universes, reminding us that consciousness and compassion remain meaningful even in the face of cosmic horror. For readers seeking science fiction that respects their intelligence and challenges their assumptions, Death's End offers an unparalleled experience. This is a book that will haunt your thoughts long after reading, changing how you think about humanity's place in the cosmos and the responsibilities that come with consciousness in a universe that may be far more dangerous and wonderful than we ever imagined.